Are there any crimes that women commit more than men? Not trying to start a gender war. Obviously, statistically, men commit more in most crimes. But was curious as to whether there's any crimes that women actually commit more. Abuse from Munchausen syndrome by proxy is nearly always female and the mother of the victim. In a 2017 review of every reported case in medical literature, 98 of perpetrators were female and 96 of those were the victim's mother. In the UK, the highest statistic is regarding not having a TV license. In 75 of cases, the accused are women, and it makes up about 1/3 of female convictions. Edit to clarify: as far as I know, a TV license is to be able to watch local and live channels and BBC iPlayer content. You can still use the internet, watch YouTube and other private streaming services, Netflix, Disney, etc., without one. Not that they occur often, but in the US most newborn abductions from hospitals are committed by middle-aged women murdering their husband. I am surprised no one mentioned the real-life example of animal protection crimes. Usually the culprit is a woman who has tens or hundreds of animals and is unable to care for them and unable to accept this either. One could call it a form of hoarding. Maybe this is legal in other countries though. Women commit 100 of crime in space. Prostitution. My girlfriend actually did her thesis on this. It was a few years ago, but if I remember correctly, women are 70 more likely to commit property crimes than men, while men are 40 more likely to commit violent or drug-related crimes. The biggest majority of shoplifters when I was in retail management were women. Women do more grocery shopping and carry purses. In the West, I believe that technically kidnapping their own kids when they are in a custody dispute is still done more by females than males. Poisoning, angel of death murders. Yes, more women than men are prosecuted for school district fraud, and also for SNAP fraud, which is basically selling food stamps to afford other things like gas or bills. Paternity fraud. Depending on the study, I've seen somewhere between 30–50 of men who request a DNA paternity test come back negative. Of course, there is some selection bias. You only ask for one if you are suspicious, but that's a really high number. Women steal more babies than men. While the great majority of kidnappings are by men, when it's a minor, it's almost always for sexual abuse purposes. For example, 6-year-old girl disappears and is never found. Family didn't take her. The kidnapper is almost always a man, and it is almost always a sexual purpose. AKA little got kidnapped, raped, and killed. In contrast, when women kidnap children, it is often to raise them. Hence the cases where a woman kills another pregnant woman to steal her baby, or even just goes into the hospital and steals a baby from there, then disappears with the baby and raises it as her own. In some states, countries, abortion, a hell of a lot more than men. IDK about crimes I actually care about, though. Shoplifting, stealing hearts. I have no statistical proof for this, but I'm gonna just say for sure shoplifting. Infanticide. Child neglect. Not because women neglect children more, but because men aren't held to the same standards, so are rarely charged with neglect of a child. So from what I've gathered, women excel in crimes only women would really be able to commit: abortion, paternity fraud, etc. I'm not typing all that. Stealing babies. I read women commit more child abuse than men, probably due to greater proximity to children. Space crimes. Fashion crimes. Ooh, I'm gonna get flack for this, but false rape allegations. Men do that. Abortion where I live should not be a crime. Munchausen by proxy. Paternity fraud. Shoplifting. Edit I may state prosecutor. Prostitution though soliciting a prostitute is mostly men. Accessory to crimes committed by their man. I remember reading an article about it. It was something like embezzlement fraud, poisoning, prostitution, shoplifting. The rest was a majority of men. Poisoning. Prostitution. Prostitution? Shoplifting. Women actually commit domestic abuse and common assault more often than men. But it isn't reported because women aren't as dangerous, so violence from them is not seen as unacceptable, socially speaking. Statistically, shoplifting. There are male shoplifters, but they're seriously outnumbered by females. Poisoning would be my guess. Paternity fraud. Wearing them ostrich as fake eyelashes. Cyberstalking versus real-life stalking. This thread is like an incel fly trap, but only for flies who regurgitate easily disproven soundbites, thanks to those citing references for their and others' claims. Paternity fraud? Prostitution. Paternity fraud. Murder by poison. Poisoning. Infanticide. In some parts of the U.S., having an abortion is considered a crime. Every Mother's Day crime goes way down. Just shows you how much crime those ladies are doing when they don't have to attend a gathering. According to Dateline, women are more likely to commit murder by poisoning. Fashion crimes. Paternity fraud. Prostitution. Infanticide. Infanticide. My guess would be infanticide. Postpartum depression is a bitch. Marriage. If it's not been said, women commit 100 of crimes in space. Plant theft. Shoplifting. Men are convicted of fraud more often, but I would bet women commit far more of it. Unfortunately, though, I don't have any stats to back this up because of lack of charges convictions, so I'm more or less just talking out of my own ass. Somewhat related. In my state, women are convicted of financial crimes more than anything else, but surprisingly, violent crime is the fastest growing among the fairer sex. Stealing tampons. If there was a specific crime for petty theft of a Target, women would be running away with it. It's not possible to say how many crimes they commit compared to men. Only what they are found guilty of. Shoplifting is the first thing that comes to mind. Infanticide, maybe? Child abuse. My wife is an accountant. She's identified a handful of embezzlers over the years. All women. It's always women. Getting pregnant by their underage students? It seems like you hear about the older female teacher sleeping with her minor student more than a man teacher getting a student pregnant. It could be that the media just prefers the hot for teacher stories to be about older women with the younger guys. Inappropriate behavior with their students. I've become suspicious. It's crazy what they get away with. Most cases, 70 or more, of infanticide are committed directly or indirectly by women. Most cases of homicide by poisoning are committed by women. Most cases of medical homicide are by women. Paternity fraud. There are a lot of places where crimes committed by women are not actually on the books as crimes. Whereas if they are performed by men, they are. UK.